welcome to the show, Real Estate and Everything Else with Sean Cochran. Of course, I'm also known as the Cowboy of Real Estate. I'm very happy to have with me a Chicagoland-based attorney. This is Miss Ebony Lucas. Miss Lucas, counselor, thank you for joining me this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, outstanding. I'm not sure if you know, I had the podcast way before, stopped it because, my head's up my butt essentially. But I was really excited to get back to it and start interviewing people that are doing big things in the real estate industry and community. I thought of you because we met at Ricardo Wardlow's one of his events, the Rhino,
Yes.
and we got to talking, and you were telling me about not only what you do for a living, but about the vast investments you have, and kind of blew my socks off. So I wanted to give the people an opportunity to get to know Miss Ebony Lucas, and she is a practicing attorney in the Chicagoland area, and how interesting she is. So, Miss Lucas, first things first, if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Oh, wow. You caught me
Mhm.
off guard
That's
with
the
that
whole
one.
point, sister.
It would be to fly
Why?
because I hate riding in cars and like confined spaces, but I'd love to be able to like literally just jump up and fly wherever I want to go. That would be
Okay.
like, or maybe I want to teleport because I'm a little impatient, but I don't know.
So, want to start off, give me a story. Now, mind you, I didn't prep you for this. You didn't know
You
these
did
questions.
not.
So, give me a story, maybe a story about something people don't know about you that's an interesting little fact. Could be from your youth, now, whatever. Give me a story.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna tell you a story. It's gonna start out a little sad, but it's a story of growth.
Okay.
When I was growing up, my dad was a Burger King franchisee,
Okay.
and grew up with, fairly financially decent means. In my 20s, I got married and ended up in an abusive relationship.
Okay.
And during that time, I had an 800 credit score, and I put my entire everything into my relationship. So I financed my husband's business, which ended up being about $5 million. I financed our house, I financed our car. And at some point realized like this is not what God wants me to be doing. This ain't it. And so I left the relationship, and out of anger, he walked away from the business and left me with all of this debt.
Oh my.
And I ended up having to file for bankruptcy. So here I was, somebody who had gone to law school and had a law degree, was working at a big law firm, and I had to file for bankruptcy.
That's gotta be rough.
Um, yeah, I mean, it was devastating, and when you grow up and you didn't really have financial issues, it's like, how did I end up here? Like, what did I do wrong? And so then it was even more embarrassing to be around my family. And, it was just, it was not the greatest time for me.
Sure.
Um, but in that time, I actually had the opportunity to be on the Oprah show, oddly
Oh,
enough.
oh, I didn't know that. Congratulations.
And I was a part of the Oprah's debt diet. And but I wasn't on the stage. I was sitting in the audience, and when I was going through this, I was sitting in the audience, and Oprah looks over in the middle of the show at me, and she's like, "You with the red shirt," and I was like,
Me?
"What you talking to?" And so I stood. She's like, "Stand up," and I'm like, "Okay." So I stood up, and she's like, "I see the look on your like, sometimes we think we need so much more than what we need, but in reality." If you just find something you love, the money will come.
I know that's right.
And I was like, okay, I don't even know what I love right now. I'm going through a divorce. I'm in bankruptcy. I don't know what I love. But it made me start to think about, what do I love? And was like, hey, you know what? I've always wanted to live in Chicago. So I moved to Chicago
Okay.
in 2006, and started at a big law firm, and was there, and things didn't work out, and left there and ended up working for a nonprofit organization. I literally went from $130,000 salary, or sorry, $180,000 salary to a
Okay.
$30,000 salary.
Oh my.
But I went to teach people about the Illinois Condominium Property Act. And I was just working with the community. I loved it. And people were like, hey, we need a lawyer. Can you represent us? I fell in love with it. And then I started investing in real estate and I fell in love with that. And literally within 5 years, I had a $3 million real estate portfolio.
So that is a great segue, because one of the reasons I was so interested to talk to you is because you were telling me about your portfolio and how
Yeah.
many properties do you own as we speak?
As we speak, I own 86.
And how many states does this encompass? And
It
before
encompasses
you answer that question, damn. All right, I'm sorry, I'm professional. Continue. How many states does your 86 property portfolio encompass?
3 states. So I have the majority of my properties are here in Chicago, but then I
Right.
have 4 in New Orleans and 1 in Florida.
For someone who counselor is starting out, doesn't have any properties, or maybe just one, their single family home. Any quick advice you have for them if they want to step it up?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest advice I have to say is do it scared, right? There's no perfect process. We've been in these real estate and we know that like things never go how you want them to go. There's no perfect timing. But if you decide that you deserve to build wealth for
Yes.
you and your family, start with buying a house.
This,
And
this
it
is real
doesn't have
fun.
to be the perfect house, but it's your house.
I know that's right. And it doesn't matter how humble. So if someone all they can get down with is a 2-bed, 1 bathroom joint, start with your 2-bed, 1 bath joint.
Start with your 2 bedroom, 1 bath. Work with your family. You know, one of the most amazing things that I've seen more and more of with families the last couple of years is families helping people buy a property.
Sure.
And maybe they're going to move in it together. So I've had families that have bought a 3 unit and the mom is going to live in one unit and the kids are going to live in the other unit. And maybe they all don't have the greatest credit or they all don't have the money, but they pull their money together and they're buying together. I had one last week where the mom was buying her, she was co-owner, a co-buyer for her son. So don't be afraid. My first investment property was $45,000.
I know that's right.
I didn't have $45,000. I had 20,000 and I went to my family. But a lot of times we don't want to go to our family because we have too much pride,
Of
right?
course.
So yeah, like let that pride go and focus on what the bigger goal is. And people are happy to help you. So I went to my parents and my brother and they helped me out. And, regardless of how they felt about the decisions I had made in the past, they were like, sure, no problem.
And here we are. Now, let me ask you this.
And
That's a
here
lot of
we are.
properties. I imagine you use a management company for these?
I do not.
You do not.
I
So
actually
you
have
self-manage 86 down properties?
I have somebody who works for me full time. I went to this conference at a time that I thought I needed a property management company.
Sure.
And one of the things they said was, if you can't manage 30 properties on your own, you don't need to be in this business.
Gotcha.
So I was like, okay, I got to learn the business. So I learned the business. And now I have somebody who works for me full time so that I can have just a little bit more control than I would if I had a management company.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Detroit.
Detroit. What's the name of your high school?
I went to Mercy High School, which is an all girls Catholic school.
What was Mercy's mascot?
It was a Marlin.
Good for you.
And
And
actually, interestingly enough, this color I have on right now was our colors were maroon and
cool.
gold.
Now, where did you do your undergrad work?
University of Michigan. Go
Go
blue.
Blue. Okay, I get you. And your postgrad?
I went to Case Western. I have a master's in nonprofit management.
Okay.
And then I went to University of Michigan for law school.
When did you decide you want to be an attorney?
I went to South Africa and by myself. I was like, I want to go somewhere. I had never been anywhere really outside. I mean, I went, in the United States, but I had never gone really out of the country. Well, I say really out of the country. Detroit is right next to Canada. So we went to Canada on a regular basis. But
Parents
yeah.
must have went to that casino.
Well, no, the casino wasn't even there.
Oh, okay.
We used to go to a Chinese restaurant called Wong's Eatery. We would go there after church.
Who goes to another country for Chinese food?
I'm telling you, that's a Detroit thing, right? Like we would go
If
there
you're from Detroit and you get
shopping.
down with Chinese food, you've been to Wong.
You've been to Wong's Eatery. And it was a barbecue place in Canada that people used to go to as well. So,
Were there? I don't know about now, but back then, were there a ton of African Americans running around Canada back then?
uh, not necessarily living there, but I mean, there was like Carabana, which is in Toronto.
Okay.
And a lot of people used to go. I mean, that was like, when you were a kid, you went to Toronto to hang out. Like it
Okay.
wasn't that far away. It was like,
And you didn't need a passport back then, I imagine.
you didn't need a passport. You literally just you went over the bridge or you went under the tunnel. From Detroit, it's about 30 minutes. So it's not, it wasn't a long journey. But anyway, went to South Africa. And this was in 1999 when
Okay.
apartheid was just ending. And I stayed with the bishop of the Anglican church. He was the uncle of a minister at my church in
Okay.
Detroit. And we were going to the different townships and telling people that we were giving information about AIDS awareness. And we were also just letting people know what their rights were. And I was listening to the lawyers there telling people what their rights were and just seeing people cry when they realized they could get a passport and they could get an ID and they didn't have to live in the townships.
Sure.
Um, and I was like, hey, I think I'm going to go to law school. So now you let my parents tell it. They told me that I was going to be a lawyer my whole entire life.
Sure, of course. God bless them. Good for them. Oh, her old man. I'd always told her, and that's what she was going to do. I get it. And look,
Exactly.
my daughter does amazing things, and people say, "Oh, Samantha's great." And I say, I done told her to do that. So I had nothing to
Right.
do with whatever the heck it was, but I get it. Let
Yeah.
me ask you this, counselor. Your office now, where is it in the city?
So my office is at 641 East Pershing Road,
Okay.
Suite E,
And that is in a
in
great neighborhood,
Chicago.
I
We're
hope.
in Bronzeville.
That is in the historic neighborhood of Bronzeville. Okay, not
Yes,
too far.
yes,
For those who aren't from Chicago, it's not too far from Soldier Field. Downtown is right down the corner.
right.
Great food in Bronzeville. Everybody knows Bronzeville. As a matter of fact, when you're
And
trying
I'm
to,
opening up a restaurant in Bronzeville too, by the way.
I
You
didn't
say
know
great
about
food?
this. Tell me
Yeah.
what is the name of this glorious restaurant?
It is called Nitro Nostalgia. We're opening Small Business Saturday,
Okay.
and it is an ice cream and board game cafe. We're making
Hmm.
it's liquid nitrogen ice cream, so we're going to make it right in front of you.
You're not going to eat it and like sparks fly out your butt and take off to the moon, or that sounds
No,
like
no,
Elon
no,
Musk
no,
ice
no.
cream,
But
counselor.
you will watch them make it. You can put whatever ingredients you want. It can be alcohol, non-alcohol, dairy, non-dairy.
Oh
So
my.
we'll have lots of choices. And then we're also going to have empanadas by Cafe Tola. So we're
I see.
excited.
Well, by the way, when is this glorious restaurant opening?
Small Business Saturday, which is November 30th.
I'm gonna have to come out there. I'll do like a review. You get it, the whole nine.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
now I know you have an event coming up. Can you tell me about it?
Yes. So on November 29th, which is Black Friday,
Okay.
I am hosting an event with State Rep LaShawn Ford and Building Dreams Foundation. And the name of the event is the Black Friday Wealth Symposium.
Okay.
We are going to have MC Light. We have Larry Jones. He's going to talk about stock investment. We have Jamal King that's going to be talking about real estate investing. I'm going to be talking about building generational wealth. We just have a great group of people because what we really want to do is help people to move away from that consumerism mindset and move towards the mindset of building wealth.
So, are you taking on new clients for your real estate law practice?
I absolutely am. My whole mission, you asked about going to law school. I went to law school because I always knew I wanted to help people.
Okay.
And what I saw in becoming a lawyer was that I wanted to help people. And when I worked at large law firms, I was like, I'm not supposed to be doing this.
Sure.
And, one of the things I've learned throughout my life is that if you just allow your faith to lead you and you go where your mission is, like Oprah said, you'll make the money.
I know.
And so I love everything about real estate law. I love everything about helping people build wealth and understand how real estate can be a tool to do that.
So, tell the folks how we can find you on Instagram and TikTok.
So on Instagram, I am Lucas the Closer. On TikTok, it's the Closing Firm LLC.
Your website?
And my website is also www.theclosingfirmllc.com.
Leave us with one. What? Give us a thesis statement. Like what's your favorite saying? What do you say to people?
Um, so another thing, I'm writing a book. And so
Okay.
the title of my book is Scared Money Don't Make Money.
I know that's right. That's one of my
Mhm.
favorite sayings, by the way. Scare money.
Yes, I love the saying because it's really about embracing. And I said earlier, like, do it scared, right? Like we
Sure.
have to embrace what we don't know We have to not be afraid to ask questions. And we have to know that, we're deserving of everything this world has to offer. So,
You run for mayor, and if Mayor Johnson sees this, it's not a shot against the mayor of Chicago. I'm just saying you're very charismatic, you're very knowledgeable, you're very well educated, of course.
well, thank
So, you ever
you.
thought about
Thank
running for
you.
mayor, counselor?
I have not thought about running for mayor. I did run for alderman. But really what I do now is what I love. It's purposeful. I love working with everybody from the first time home buyer to, the real estate investor. And I have something to give to all of them. And we work very hard in our office to make sure that transactions go through, they go smoothly, and people understand the process.
Sure. No, I appreciate it. Well, listen, like I told you before, I really do appreciate you taking some time and coming out and chat with a poor cowboy from Plainfield slash by way of Bolingbrook. Again, my name is Sean Cochran. This is Real Estate and Everything Else. I'm also known as the Cowboy of Real Estate. We have been sitting here chatting with the lovely, distinguished gentlewoman from Bronzeville, Ebony Lucas, who is a licensed real estate attorney and an 86 property owner, which is that's just crazy. I mean, we all do okay, but I ain't got 86 properties. Good Lord. So you can always find the counselor, and I'll make sure I put your contact information on here when I edit the video and so on and so forth. But hey, I appreciate you coming out, and God bless you.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.